everyone, welcome back to Study Room. In this video, we will be discussing about the activities that affect our environment. We'll be discussing mainly about the human activities which are harmful for our environment, the day-to-day activities that we do which adversely affect our environment, and how we can or what measures we can take to prevent those adverse effects and save our environment. So let us see what are the effects of human activities on the environment. Changes in the environment affect us, and our activities change the environment around us. Okay, so the two major environmental problems caused due to our activities are, the first one is depletion of the ozone layer, okay, and the second one is waste disposal. So let us see what this ozone layer is and how the depletion of ozone layer is affecting our environment. Okay. So ozone is a molecule formed by 3 atoms of oxygen. At the higher levels of the atmosphere, ozone performs an essential function of shielding the surface of the earth from ultraviolet radiation of the sun. This radiation is highly damaging to organisms and is known to cause skin cancer in humans. So ultraviolet radiation, in order to save the organisms that are present on earth from ultraviolet radiation, there is a shield present, and this shield is made up of ozone. Okay, and these ultraviolet radiations are very harmful for the humans and the animals that are living on this planet, and this can cause skin cancer and several diseases. So that is why, in order to prevent these ultraviolet radiation, we have a shield that is made up of ozone. Ozone is basically formed by 3 atoms of oxygen. While oxygen, which we normally refer to as, while O2, which we generally refer to as oxygen, is essential for all aerobic forms of life, ozone is a deadly poison. Okay, but still ozone is helping to shield the ultraviolet radiation in our atmosphere and saving us from these harmful UV rays. At the higher levels of the atmosphere, the higher energy UV radiations split apart some molecular oxygen, that is O2, into free oxygen, that is here you can see O atoms, and these atoms then combine with the molecular oxygen to form ozone as shown. So here it is the earth and here it is the atmosphere, so this is a shield that is formed by the ozone layer. So how is this shield formed? What happens is this UV radiation comes, and at this place it breaks down oxygen into nascent oxygen, okay, or free oxygen. This free oxygen then combines with other. There are so many oxygen molecules here. Okay, oxygen molecules, so many oxygen molecules here. So it combines with another oxygen molecule to form ozone. So this is how breaking and combining of oxygen happens here. Oxygen molecules happens here, and this ozone layer is formed and maintained in the higher levels of the atmosphere, which protects us from the UV radiations. Now, how is this ozone layer depleting? The amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the 1980s. So we saw that in the 1980s there was this sharp decrease in the amount of ozone, and this decrease has been linked with the synthetic chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs, which were used as refrigerants and in fire extinguishers. It is now mandatory for all manufacturing companies to make CFC-free refrigerators throughout the world. So in 1980s, which harmful chemical was causing the ozone layer depletion? It was CFC or chlorofluorocarbon. You will be asked this question. Okay, the name of the harmful chemical was chlorofluorocarbons, which were present in refrigerators or refrigerants and in fire extinguishers. So after that, what was done mandatory was that it was mandatory that all the manufacturing companies would produce CFC-free refrigerators throughout the world. In 1987, United Nations Environment Programme, that is UNEP, also succeeded in forging an agreement to freeze CFC production at 1986 levels. Okay, so this is how the United Nations Environment Program also acted upon this issue, and they also tried to control the level of CFCs in the atmosphere so that the ozone layer depletion could be managed. Now, how should we manage garbage? We are doing an activity here where we will collect some waste material from our homes, like kitchen waste that includes spoiled food, vegetable peels, used tea leaves, milk packets and empty cartons, and waste paper, empty medicine bottle, old and torn clothes and broken footwear. Now bury this material in a pit in the school garden, or if there is no space available, you can collect the material in an old bucket or flower pot and cover with at least 15 centimeter of soil. Keep this material moist and observe at 15-day intervals. So at in the activity, when we observe at 15-day intervals, we see that materials that change their form are rubber, food, vegetable peels, empty cartons, waste papers, old and torn cloths. Okay, so these things actually change their forms. So why do they change their forms? This is wrong. Broken footwear does not change their form. It was not mentioned. Okay, so all these rubber, food, vegetable peels, empty cartons, waste paper, old and torn cloths. Why do these materials they change their form? Because they are biodegradable. Okay, so that is why they change their form. In the contrary, we see that the materials that remain unchanged over long periods of time are empty medicine bottles, milk packets, or broken footwear. So these materials are, on the other hand, these are non-biodegradable. Okay. So here you can see in this video how these waste dumps are created, and these garbage dumps are actually very problematic, and how they are how they are actually increasing in size day by day due to the deposition of these non-biodegradable wastes and the garbage that are produced by the human beings. Now, how is this waste production, or how is this waste formation actually happening? Many human-made materials like plastics, which are very harmful, these plastics, which will not be broken down by the action of bacteria or other saprophytes. These materials will be acted upon by physical processes like heat and pressure, but under the ambient conditions found in our environment. These persist for a long time. Thus, they form the waste in the environment. So, these waste heaps are formed by materials like plastics, which cannot be broken down by the action of bacteria or other saprophytes, and they can only be broken down by the process of physical processes like heat and pressure. But since our environment is so ambient, the conditions are very different from high heat and high pressure. So that is why these materials do not degrade and they form the waste in the environment, right? Improvement in our lifestyle have resulted in greater amounts of waste material generation. Changes in packaging have resulted in much of our waste becoming non-biodegradable. So we saw that those garbage dumps were actually created, which were created by humans, and the waste that is produced by the humans in day-to-day life due to the improvement in the lifestyle and also in the improvement in the packaging structure, etc., which produces more and more biodegradable wastes like plastics. Now, what are biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances? I have been talking a lot about these biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances. Now, let us know what these are actually. Okay, so the substances that are broken down by biological processes, by bacteria and different microorganisms, these are known as biodegradable substances, and the substances that are not broken down in this manner are said to be non-biodegradable substances. Especially like plastics. Here you can see that pictures are also given here. Biodegradable are the organic wastes that can be broken down by the soil bacteria or by the action of saprophytes. These are known as biodegradable. and the plastics and the non-biodegradable products, which forms a major part of the waste these days. These are known as non-biodegradable. These substances may be inert and simply persist in the environment for a long time and may harm the various members of the ecosystem. So these plastic or these non-biodegradable waste are actually very harmful for the uh, uh, inhabitants of this planet, right? Now, how can we do the waste management? Waste management is the activities and actions that are required to manage waste from its inception to its disposal. This includes the collection, transportation, treatment, and disposal of waste together with monitoring and regulation of the waste management process. Now, here you can see that how waste management is taking place, where you have to start from your home. Okay, you have to segregate the waste properly from your home, then to the collection point, the collection truck that comes, you have to properly send the segregated waste into the collection truck, and these collection truck will again take it in a segregated manner to the collection point, and then from here it will go for recycling, and then this recycling process, and after that these waste can be properly treated, and then it can be managed properly, right? So this includes the collection, transportation, treatment, and disposal of the waste together with monitoring and regulation of the waste management process. So these steps are very much needed, like collection, transportation, treatment, and disposal of the waste together with monitoring and regulation. These are very important processes that are important for waste management, and hence we can save our environment by the process of waste management. Here you can see that how these people are actually segregating the waste into biodegradable and non-biodegradable. Also, there are other means of segregation, like there are certain standards that are maintained for waste segregation, which are given by the government, and we need to segregate the waste at our homes in that process, so that we can so that it is easy to process the waste and manage the waste at the collection center, right? Apart from that, we also need to take steps as given here. You can see these people are collecting the the biodegradable, the non-biodegradable waste that are polluting our environment, the plastic waste that are polluting our environment. So we also need to take very crucial steps and very important steps to cope up with the plastic waste that we have in our environment that is harming our environment, and we regularly need to conduct activities where we need to take up steps to clean our environment so that our environment is not harmed anymore. Now we will be discussing the in-text questions. The first question that we have is, why are some substances biodegradable and some non-biodegradable? So we already discussed about the biodegradable and non-biodegradable substances. For biodegradable, the microorganisms like bacteria and the other decomposer organisms like saprophytes present in our environment are specific in their action. Okay, so they break down the materials or products made from natural materials, say paper, but do not break down man-made materials such as plastic. So it is due to the property of the decomposer organisms, these decomposer organisms that are present in soil, of being specific of their action, that some waste materials are biodegradable whereas others are non-biodegradable, right? The next question that we have is, give any two ways in which biodegradable substances would affect the environment. Biodegradable substances are decomposed by the action of microorganisms, and decomposed materials are recycled through geochemical cycles. So this is a very important impact of the biodegradable substances. These substances also keep the environment clean. The next question that we have is, give any two ways in which non-biodegradable substances would affect the environment. So non-biodegradable substances are very harmful. They cause air, water and soil pollution, and they may cause biomagnification in the food chain and end up in humans, as we discussed the biomagnification topic in the previous video. The next question that we have is, what is ozone and how does it affect our ecosystem? So as we discussed that ozone is a molecule formed by 3 oxygen atoms, and at higher levels of the atmosphere, it shields the surface of the earth from ultraviolet or UV radiation from the sun. It may affect our ecosystem in the following ways. At the surface of the earth, it is deadly poison for all the lower forms of life. If this layer gets depleted, then it may cause cancer in human beings, including other plants and animals. The next question that we have, the last question that we have for this video is, how can you help in reducing the problem of waste disposal? Give any two methods. The two methods that we have are recycling. The solid waste like paper, plastic and metals etc. are recycled, and the second method that we have is preparation of compost. So the biodegradable domestic waste such as leftover food, fruit, vegetable peels and leaves of potted plants etc. can be converted into compost by burying in a pit dug into the ground. So by these processes we can help in reducing the problem of waste disposal. Right, so this was all for the video. We already discussed about the problems and the activities done by humans which is affecting our environment and is very harmful for our environment, and the certain measures that we need to take, like the waste management measures, the waste segregation measures, and also cleaning the environment properly so that our environment is it is less harmful for us also, and we are better equipped to survive for a longer time on this planet. So thank you so much